For this milestone 600th episode, I decided to talk about something that's really important to me. Many of you who have seen my videos over the past number of years have recognized that I'm an optimist. I believe any project has promise, that the future is always brighter, and cynicism helps nobody. You think people would accept this aspect of my videos, but you might be surprised at the resistance to this in some corners. So why do my videos have more of a positive slant to them? You may have noticed that my regular episodes on Saturday are almost always positive or in praise of something. I've stopped doing top 10 worst lists, slams of movies and television shows, and changed which is worse to which is better. I'm aware this has turned off some viewers, prompting an immediate click on the unsubscribe button. However, I just stopped being comfortable doing those videos. They were not fun for me anymore. I understand the desire to see someone rip a movie apart, but there are other channels that specialize in that. Those sorts of rant videos used to be funny to me, but they're now disturbing to watch. That's not to say I won't criticize something if I'm required to. I did a video about 2 years ago comparing the Garbage Pail Kids movie and the Oogie Loves. I hated both of those films and did not sugarcoat my low opinions on them. But I did it in a way that expressed my thoughts without looking like a madman. I've come to realize that if someone does not like a movie, it often comes down to disagreeing with the creative decisions that are made. There are even films I like where I have a few quibbles, sometimes related to music choices, or a joke I did not find all that funny, or the pacing was off in a few scenes. This current mindset of let's call the director incompetent, or a moron, or a monster, just does not gel with me. This also extends to films that have not even opened yet. Videos and articles that dissect trailers are so odd to me because you're not really getting the full picture from the advertising materials. Yet people already seem to have an opinion fully formed just from 2 random minutes of footage spliced together. So where did this attitude of mine of not prejudging movies begin? Well, you might be surprised, but it was actually because, of all things, the Mr. Peabody Sherman movie. Not the film itself, or even the trailer, but rather the reaction to the first images released. Mr. Peabody Sherman was not up on my most anticipated list or anything. It was just a movie I was curious about, partly because I fondly remembered the source material, and partly because Rob Minkoff was the director. However, something about the way people online reacted to the character designs rubbed me the wrong way. It was a feeling I don't think I'd really experienced before, so it's weird that this was what set me off. However, it just seems silly to me, the reaction towards how this bespectacled boy with buck teeth looked. I quickly made the decision to no longer prejudge a movie, and thus walk in always expecting something good. That then led me down the path of respecting everyone who works on a movie. I've gotten a few comments asking why I care so much about filmmakers and the many individuals who put a movie together. Why do I respect the people who work many months to create the very entertainment I watch on a frequent basis? Well, I think I just answered my own question there. I've also seen a recent sentiment that it only matters what's on the screen, not who makes them. I completely disagree with that viewpoint. Studios don't put 5 to 8 minutes of names at the end of movies to give the theater employees more time to clean the screening room. They are there because they played a role in putting the film on the screen. They worked really hard, and I always think about them as I'm watching the film, and it's why I'll even shout out a few people if I think that specific individual did a particularly excellent job. Let's move away from entertainment for a bit, because I also want to clear up some misconceptions about optimism. One assumption people seem to make is that optimists don't believe in depression or don't believe sadness is a real emotion. That is completely incorrect. Depression is a real thing, nor is it something with an on-off switch. Many optimists can even suffer from depression as well as other complex feelings like anxiety. Just because someone predicts the world will be better tomorrow does not make them a happiness robot. The other misconception is that we ignore the bad things happening in the world. Oh so wrong. Take the current situation with the you-know-what. I know eventually things will improve and will go back to normal, hopefully sooner rather than later. However, I also recognize how terrible it all is, so I'm doing my part by listening to the professionals and staying inside. I also want to talk about the way cynics and pessimists feel about optimists. They hate them. There are no two ways about it. Cynics hate those who are optimistic, and most of all, they want them to join their side and become cynical too. I can tell you this from personal experience. I've been told more than once that, oh, you need to be more cynical. If you are an optimist, don't give them the satisfaction. They will stew and yell and will try to project themselves onto you, but the most satisfying thing in the world is knowing you did not drag yourself down to their level. You are the stronger person. That leads me to a quote I've often thought about over the past 10 years. It was said by Conan O'Brien, who happens to be my favorite of the late-night talk show hosts. He is extremely funny, highly enthusiastic, and a fantastic interviewer with whatever guest he has on. In 2010, he had his dream gig of hosting The Tonight Show ripped away from him, when NBC decided to take Jay Leno's side during that whole debacle. You can look up the Wikipedia article about The Tonight Show conflict if you're curious about it. When Conan hosted his last episode on NBC, he could have done it in a dour mood. Instead, his tenure of The Tonight Show ended on an uplifting note, and he gave this incredible advice to the audience.
I'm asking this particularly of young people that watch. Please do not be cynical. I hate cynicism. For the record, it's my least favorite quality. It doesn't lead anywhere. Nobody in life gets exactly what they thought they were going to get. But if you work really hard and you're kind, amazing things will happen.
I find it incredibly inspirational he would say that, especially considering all that happened to him in the months preceding that statement. I know I've tried my best to be a good person. I'm not perfect. I'll openly admit to that. There does not exist a person who is perfect or without flaws. But I also believe almost everyone is capable of change, that everyone is talented. And the best of those people are the optimists who know the sun will rise again tomorrow, and that there are better days ahead. Whether you're a doctor who's improving the lives of your patients, an inventor who is creating the next innovation that will help humankind, or an artist who's making something that will bring joy to people all over the world. There will be those who will try to discourage you, or you will face rejection by those who don't recognize your abilities. Don't let them get to you. They're not worth listening to. I especially see too much vitriol these days directed towards artists and the hard work they do. And the cruelty of many of these comments is really unwarranted, especially from those who claim themselves to be fans or supporters of artists. So I would like to say, if you are a director, screenwriter, animator, visual effects artist, conceptual designer, storyboard artist, makeup artist, costume designer, photographer, researcher, or production assistant, your work does matter. Anyone who calls your work trash, garbage, and worthless is not worth listening to. Whether I'm looking forward to an upcoming movie or there's an activity I'm really excited about doing, I cannot help but be positive about what that will bring. We should all be doing our part to make the world a better place, and that can be done by creating or sharing something positive, ignoring the cynics and pessimists that exist out there, and even in action as simple as helping the environment in any small way we can. You could even improve your health and the health of others by making the right decisions in your day-to-day life. Nowadays, this means staying indoors. But when all that is over, you can find new things to do. So I would like to conclude by sharing this indigenous American proverb. There are two wolves, and they are always fighting. One is darkness and despair, and the other is light and hope. Which wolf ends up winning? The one you feed. So always remember to feed the right wolf, and I'll see you next time.